Hello and a very warm welcome to you. I think we've got Michael and Hayley in our workshop with us. We're expecting about 18 people. So we're just going to give it a moment and see if we get a few more people. Otherwise, Michael, this will be your own personalised workshop because Hayley's a colleague of our team. So hopefully people haven't got that Friday feeling. Here we go. We've got a few more people starting. Oh no, 6 with that. I think that includes us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there were no technical difficulties because Hayley and Michael have succeeded in getting into the room. I know there have been a few technical issues today throughout the conference. Michael and Hayley, would you be able to just pop in the chat? Can you hear me okay? Hayley's typing. Fabulous. Thank you, Hayley. In that case, I think we will just wait a couple more minutes. And hopefully other colleagues will join us as we go along.
Someone else has joined.
Lovely. A warm welcome to you, Kerry. We're just waiting a few more moments because we seem to be missing 15 of our participants. Let the clock get to 5 past and then I'll start the presentation. I'll give you our first slide so that everyone's got something to look at.
We've got someone else, Liz, as well.
That's fantastic.
So.
Okay, as it's 5 past, I'm going to start the presentation and we'll take you on a tour of the Youth and Communities Service. Welcome all of you this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the workshop, which aims to give an insight to the purpose, role and the aspirations of the Youth and Communities team. As part of the Think Community Service, I'm Liz Morris and I'm the Cambridgeshire County Council County Youth and Community Manager with responsibility for the Youth and Communities team. I'm joined today, and I'm just at the touch of a button going to show you my lovely colleagues. I'm joined today by Steph Webb. Steph is our Youth and Community Coordinator for Huntingdonshire, and Kerry Tonks. Kerry is our Youth and Community Coordinator, 1 of 2 for Fenland. And I'm also joined by Ella Rolfe, our Youth Social Mobility and Youth Voice Lead. Thank you for being alongside me today. Okay, so we hope that this workshop will give you an understanding of the work that we do and how we can support and enable the development of effective and sustainable community-led youth and community projects across Cambridgeshire. We will be sharing examples of our work in communities and explaining our offer in relation to the statutory duty held by the team and the opportunities we have as part of the local authority through our local, regional and national networks, our partnerships and the contracts that we hold. It is our aspiration that following this workshop, parish council colleagues will feel able to access our services and explore the ideas and aspirations that they hold for children, young people and families within their communities. There is a chat function, as you will see, an opportunity for you to ask questions as we go along, and colleagues will do their best to answer. We'll also have the opportunity to address any questions in the chat at the end of the presentation, and of course we'll be giving you some contact details, so if you'd like to get in touch and communicate with us in another method, we'd be very happy to do that. So the Youth and Community Service supports the development of a youth offer for Cambridgeshire. A Cambridgeshire youth offer that is now led by communities, delivered by effective partnerships, informed and enjoyed by young people, and delivered by youth and community professionals and small project teams across Cambridgeshire to deliver the service enabling our statutory duty under the youth offer. So how do we do this? We do this in 3 key ways. We have a team of staff, including our youth and community coordinators, who work in partnership with those working with young people at a local level by working in partnership with local communities to understand local needs. This means that we put resources in the right places. We empower and support communities to deliver their own sustainable solutions. It means supporting communities who wish to deliver their own youth services by helping them with governance, funding, safeguarding, through mentoring, training and signposting, and through facilitating the Community Reach Fund. The 3 ways in which we deliver our county youth offer are through enabling communities, enabling youth voice and youth participation, and enabling positive activities and informal education. We support communities and partners to enable a community-led youth work offer for Cambridgeshire, including the Cambridgeshire ARC, which we will take you through later, enablement and support with design, delivery, governance and funding, including the Community Reach Fund and COVID Enabler, which we will take you through, and a comprehensive training offer and a network offering specialist, national, local and bespoke practice support to anyone delivering within their local communities that might want advice, guidance and access to safeguarding support and specialists. We enable the youth voice and youth participation through the delivery and development of the Youth Engagement Partnership, and enable young people to have their voices heard on the issues that are important to them, and to include them in the co-production, inspection, assessment and evaluation of services that they might wish to use and be engaged in, and by enabling positive activities and informal education, the delivery of positive activities through formal contracts and fundraising to support the development of social mobility and emotional health and well-being in young people, especially those from vulnerable and marginalised cohorts. These projects include our contract with the National Citizen Service, our contract with the Department for Education around the Essential Skills for Life programme, which was an initiative through the Social Mobility Opportunity Area within East Cambs and Fenland, and our partnership enablement. Most recently, we have worked extensively with Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue to facilitate and support the Firebreak initiative, the NCS Skills Booster programme through schools, and the Desert Rat Challenge, which is a partnership activity with local military at Cambridge University Officer Training Corps. Now, the Community Reach Fund. The Community Reach Fund is held, administered and enabled by the Youth and Community Coordinators. The CRF enables seed funding of up to £1,000 for community-led projects that respond to the needs of children, young people and their families. We support community projects that can demonstrate community members developing their own initiatives and contributing to community resilience, community projects that are inclusive and have a shared benefit, community projects that motivate and empower people to volunteer, take part, and by doing so, develop social capacity, and community projects that develop opportunities for children, young people and their families to engage in positive activity, which is beneficial to their health and well-being. The team uses the CRF as a tool to support new and developing community groups to explore their governance and safeguarding in a professional and meaningful way, and to secure sufficient funding to get started. This is done on their terms, with us supporting them and them doing it for themselves rather than us telling them how or what they should do. The application process starts by contacting your district youth and community coordinator, who will ensure that your project fits the criteria. And we do this so that nobody is set up to fail. If your project doesn't fit our criteria and we can help, we do so by signposting and supporting you to access funding that's held elsewhere. By building skills, confidence, support networks and momentum, we hope that groups become sustainable and develop their professionalism through our community youth work offer, so that they can confidently and competently meet the needs of their community through their projects. Alongside the CRF, we offer a COVID Enabler grant, which has had a similar process and focuses on the same criteria, enabling grants of up to £500 that support communities to respond at pace to an issue that has a direct link to the ongoing pandemic. A couple of slides here with some pie charts that just give you a little bit of a flavour the first half of this financial year. So far, all of our funding has been allocated for this year, but we are currently working with community projects for April submission for funding. You will see that in line with our aspirations as a youth service, the majority of funding has gone to community projects that include or benefit young people. But alongside that, we've had a significant proportion of funding go towards children, young people and family projects, the establishment of community groups, food projects and other. Now, some of these community groups are food projects, and we have seen a lot of work in the last 6 months linked to food poverty and communities developing and delivering their own initiatives following the momentum of a lot of community groups that supported vulnerable people and their communities to keep going during the pandemic. So it's been an absolute fantastic year working alongside and witnessing communities identifying issues, removing those barriers and channeling their own ideas to meet their issues that they best understand. 26 of our projects this year have been COVID related, and there's just a few quotes here from people who have benefited from the award historically. Right, I would now like to take the valuable opportunity to introduce to you my colleagues Steph and Kerry, two of our youth and community coordinators, and they're going to take us through some Community Reach Fund case studies, which really do show and emphasise the diverse nature of applications that come into us as a team. And I believe Kerry's going to go first. Over to you, Kerry.
Thank you, Liz. So I'm going to start with a Reach Fund grant that was given to the Fenton Way Travellers site in Wisbech. It's really important as a team that we ensure CRF is fair and equally open to all groups, and I'd say we really do strive hard to ensure that those from marginalised and minority communities can benefit from this fund also. Often this means that we're working in partnerships with other organisations for this to happen, because they're the ones who have the relationship with the groups in the community, these communities. And this is an example of where Fenton District Council community team worked very closely with the traveller community on this site. And through discussions with them, concerns were being raised about the health and well-being and safety of children, but also about how people felt about the environment they were living in. And the group said they would really like to do something about it. And Fenton District Council staff helped them to formulate a plan, and they approached me, and I continued that work with them to get them a CRF grant. This is also an example of one of those situations where in communities often groups are very small and they're not formally organised, and actually they never will be formally organised. However, CCC money is public money, so it needs to be auditable and accountable. So we never give money to individuals. But in this case, Fenton District Council could be the holder of the funds for the group. And in your parish councils, you could be the same in terms of a relationship with any community group that you had. And we have a number of small play and stay groups, etc., who already are very linked with their parish council. But it's useful that that a fund holder is working in partnership with the groups. I mean, this group also brought in Wood Green Animal Shelter to help them better care for their pets, particularly in grooming and feeding and clipping nails, etc., etc. The Wood Green, I mean, the community really appreciated the input, but Wood Green also appreciated being able to access this community to discuss with them these things. Now, this is also an example of where a piece of work has had stunning outcomes, and I think you'll agree from the before and after pictures, the amount of work that's gone in to transform that site. And all have been involved, young children, as you can see down on the bottom right, adults alike, that they want to continue and develop another piece of the site. So we have a small, what we call a reaching further grant. So where projects have exceeded expectation and want to grow or add a different section to their piece of work, in a second year we can support them to do that. But yeah, really proud of the community for what they've achieved with this one, and I think a great use of the money. The next one is a stay and play group in Queen Adelaide who received from us a COVID enabler grant. We've received quite a number of COVID requests from various groups related to young children, and as you know, we have a whole generation of children who've been born and they're as COVID babies, if you like, and a whole group of women who've become mums for the first time, or maybe the second or third or even more, but the support that those people, those mums, would normally access, both in terms of their own socialisation with other young mums and getting advice and guidance maybe from some experienced play workers, but also the social interaction of the babies and young children, that just hasn't happened. So it's really important that we work hard to ensure that these groups are opening. Some of the issues that we're coming across, equipment that may have been stored in a shed, I mean, over a year and a half of not being opened. We've had leaky shed roofs ruining equipment, ruining certainly anything, refreshments, etc., that were being stored or used would be out of date or ruined. And so we've supported many groups, including this one, with some new equipment, and really supported them to help them get going again. They have an excellent relationship already with their parish council, who support them with space in the village hall, which is invaluable. But if you have groups, as parish councillors, town councillors, workers, if you are working with groups that are struggling to reopen because of these issues, then please get in touch with one of your youth and community coordinators who can help with those issues. The third and final one from me, Phoenix Youth Provision, and this is a very interesting project of which I'm incredibly proud of everybody involved. So this originally came from a group of councillors in Whittlesea and the villages and the town who were saying that there was no real focus. Although there was a lot of people in Whittlesea doing some really good work, there was no real solid forum that was bringing them together. And so I worked with the councillors in bringing a group together, and straight away from the get-go, 20 odd people attending, and that has maintained. They identified issues that were really important to them in Whittlesea and concerns that they had. One of which was loneliness and isolation, and a colleague of mine who's actually on this call, Hayley, will be working ahead with me on developing that. But the other and main concern was the lack of youth provision in Whittlesea, and a subgroup was set up which attracted a fantastic group of local youth work experienced volunteers who've been involved in youth work in Whittlesea in the past. And before the end of that very first meeting, they said, let's not mess about, let's formulate ourselves as a youth organisation. And they did, and they're Phoenix, and they are up and operational within 3 months, which was, I think, incredible. They had a CRF grant to help them with start-up equipment for their drop-in and also for their insurances and those initial costs of setting up an organisation. They did some fantastic liaison work with young people to ensure that they were providing what young people wanted, which in this case came out as a drop-in initially. There are limits because of numbers using building at the moment, and they're already having far more young people that want to drop in than they can have at one time. So I think they're operating from the car park as well as the building. But again, I mean, they've gone on to make contact with local businesses, and they've already got £2,000 from this group, EPD Installation Group, and I'm working with them on completing an awards for all lottery bid. So Liz mentioned that one of the things we do is help groups with funding, and often that little seed grant of £1,000 enables something to get going that can grow and grow and grow. And I think this one will be an organisation that probably goes on to grow quite big. Some of the stay and plays stay at one session a week, and that's what's needed, and that's what they'll always be. But whatever size or nature of organisation, we're there to support the under fives, the 5 to 11s, the junior youth clubs, and the 11 to 19 youth offer. So please get in touch with us if you feel you've got a group that could do with our support. I'm going to stop there and hand over to Steph Webb, who's going to go through a couple more projects to show a bit more diversity. So over to you, Steph.
Thanks, Kerry. So I'm going to start by sharing some information about the Fenstanton Hilton project. So this was initially initiated by the parish council. So I'm fairly new in post. I've only been in post 6 months, and I'm out meeting people. One of the parish councillors told me about how they were trying to work in partnership with the local scout group. So within the village, they've got a piece of land that's quite central, which is an acre size. And they were quite happy to allow the scouts to have this on 100 years lease. So the long-term ambition is to try and build an actual purpose-built scouts kind of headquarters for the Huntingdonshire area. But the community and the scout group themselves were very keen to try and obtain the land for the start of this year, so that in the spring they would be in a position to launch a programme of volunteering and community action projects. So unfortunately, the project had kind of come to a bit of a standstill, because the only thing that was holding it up was the actual legal process of getting the lease in order. And this is quite a unique project, which is why we wanted to share it with you. Is it's not traditionally something that we would fund, but the parish council initiated us making contact with the scouts and going out, and it was very clear, that they would have been a lot further ahead with raising the funds needed if it hadn't been for COVID, because a lot of their traditional fundraisers had all been stopped because of the pandemic and not being able to do things. So we went out and met with the Scout group, and they had a very, very solid community plan. They also demonstrated the huge need. So at the time, that I met them initially, which was only November, they had 30 young people on their waiting list. So their long-term ambition is to try and increase their services, and they're also hoping that this project will kind of ignite a bit of passion within the community and help build capacity as people see the project developing. People will want to come forward and will want to volunteer, and then they'll be able to hopefully recruit people and train them as volunteers. So it was a really different one, but it's something that really shows, I think, the diversity and the flexibility. And I think the other thing that a lot of the community organisations appreciate is that the actual kind of assessment process, and it normally takes between 1 and 2 weeks to actually go through, so it can kind of kickstart things very quickly if people are interested. So the second one I wanted to talk about is in the Brampton parish. So we were contacted back in July to say that there'd been an increase of antisocial behaviour of older teenagers, sort of 15 to 17-year-olds, that were hanging out around the memorial fields, particularly in the concrete dugouts at the side of the football pitch, which is about 50 metres or so away from the skate park. So initially we were kind of thinking, well, how could we go out and how can we engage with those young people? And at the same time, we'd been contacted by Let's Go Skate, which is a local community interest company that does work across the county, but predominantly in Hunts. And Jason was really keen to see if he could expand his portfolio of work. So traditionally, he's been doing a lot of one-to-one skateboard coaching, but he wanted to try and expand and do more group work sessions as well. So there was an opportunity really to bring the hub together alongside Let's Go Skate and just see if we could look at a CRF application, even between the two of them, to actually fund some sessions for the young people over the summer holiday periods. And it was agreed that we would allocate some of my time as well to work alongside Let's Go Skate, so that we could deliver some detached youth work sessions prior to the formal sort of structured lessons, and then also some extra detached stuff at the end of the sessions as well, to try and target this older age group. So what came from that is we had a really, really busy summer, and we found and engaged with all of the young people in the memorial fields. And there was two kind of really big developments from that. So one was that we found out that predominantly a lot of the young people that were actually hanging around in the memorial fields were Year 11 students. And, talking to those young people, they shared with us, how COVID had impacted them, how they felt that they'd missed a lot of quality time together over the last 2 years. They also knew that a lot of them were going off on different pathways and journeys into sixth forms or apprenticeships. And so in their eyes, they really just wanted to spend the summer together and have one last, good sort of summer time before moving on to proper work in their eyes. So we kind of knew that group was going to disperse, and I'm pleased to say that it has. So we did manage to get some of those young people involved in skateboarding, but traditionally it wasn't really their sort of activity, but it was a really good way of kind of catching their attention and just having a presence in the park, so that it was a way of us going over and engaging. And as part of this, we did manage to get a lot of young people, though, engaged with the skateboard sessions as well that were coming down. And from that as well, we found out that those young people weren't always, just from the Brampton area. So young people, I think since the Olympics and the Sky Brown effect, as they were calling it, with the medal success that we had, a lot more young people have got into skateboarding. So as soon as they found out they were able to access a tutor, they were travelling to the project down from St Neots, we were coming up from Stilton and across as well from the March area. So two things have kind of developed from the summer work that we delivered. And one was the hub have now decided that they would like to lead on a youth strategy. So, they're really keen to try and engage with young people and find out what facilities long-term they would like to see developed in the village. So we've been able to support them to set up their own youth strategy group. And we've got on that the GP, we've got the district council, we've got the Scouts, we've got the church youth organisations, and also some local people from the village themselves that live close by to the memorial fields. And we're looking at the moment, we've just delivered a survey in the secondary schools in Hinchinbrook, and we've predominantly targeted that at the 13 plus age group, as we feel that they're the ones that we need to be targeting and working with. And from that, we've had nearly 100 responses, which is great for the size of the population. And from that, they've kind of identified themselves that they would like to see a drop-in or a youth cafe or some sort of youth facility in the memorial fields alongside the skate park. The other project that's come from this initial work in the summer is Let's Go Skate now are very, very keen to try and look at setting up a district-wide skate club committee, whatever it will be. And the idea is rotating Jason and youth workers around the district at the different skate parks once a month, providing sessions. And in the summer months, they would be practical skate tutoring, but in the winter months as well, where often it's more difficult for the young people to engage in those activities, they could go indoors and do work on competitions or skate park designs or doing maintenance work on their boards or whatever is of interest. So at the moment, we're supporting Let's Go Skate to apply for an Awards for All grant, and also linking with Living Sports to take that further as well. The final one that many of you will know if you're local is the Diamond Hampers initiative. So this is a community interest company, and their main priority is about redirecting food waste and household items away from landfill and giving them to vulnerable families. So they contacted us to identify 2 projects. So one was a COVID enabler grant and the other was a community reach awards. And the first one was they'd identified that a lot of young people were approaching them asking if they could support them to get interview clothing. So many of these young people were living in supported housing projects or on benefits or very low income. They weren't in an employment, and they were sort of saying it's a big outlay, it's a big cost for us to put out at once to buy an appropriate outfit. It's not clothes that we hold. And also it's probably clothes that we will only wear for an hour of our lives because the job themselves won't require us to be dressed in that manner. So they were asking for support to purchase the clothes. So what Diamond Hampers has done is exactly that. And now they hire them out for £1 a go. They've got a partnership with Timpson's so that when the young people return the clothes back, they're dry cleaned and able to be reused again. Post lockdown as well, they contacted us regarding the Girl Guiding movement, and they've identified there that again families were saying that they wanted their children to be part of Girl Guiding, but they were finding the cost of actually buying the uniforms and the books and the initial badges and stuff that they needed to get started was between £40 and £50, which is just too much for them to fund on low incomes and with the rising cost of living. So what they've done is Diamond Hampers have again bought some initial clothes and books and badges that we've helped fund, and they've created a uniform swap shop service. So as children outgrow the items, they can take it back in and upcycle it again. As the local community have heard about this, more and more people have started to bring in items as well. So their resources is just growing. And I think what's lovely is that the actual local Girl Guides team have developed their own Diamond Hampers badge. So the actual girls themselves are learning about food waste, poverty, their community, and they also do fundraising of collecting tins and dropping them off. I should just say it's not just the Girl Guides uniforms they also do the brownies and the rainbows. So if you know of anybody that is involved in that and has surplus items that they'd like to drop off, I'm sure Leanne would really welcome that. So I hope that's given you a bit of a flavour very quickly of some of our projects. And what we'll do now is pass back over to Liz, who's going to talk through the youth offer. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Thank you, Kerry. That was a really exciting look, and actually some really fantastic community projects that inspire and evidence the role of the Community Reach Fund in that sort of initial step of community development. Just a little bit of support to enable community groups to take that lead and that initiative to solve their own issues. Fantastic. Thank you, both of you. So alongside the Community Reach Fund, we also have a comprehensive offer of support and training to community youth providers. Many of you might recall that back pre-2012, before the very well publicised government cuts to youth services and funding, that we did run a fully functioning county-wide youth service, and my team, if it were pre-2012, instead of my wonderful team of 15, there would have been over 250 of us working across the county. So to enable youth work across the county, many people still come to us and still want this help and support, but they're prepared to deliver it themselves. So what we can offer, although we can't offer youth workers, what we can is offer the support and development for communities to grow their own youth workers. We do this as the Community Reach Fund is evidence. You know, we do this once a community has established its need and they've decided what they want to do and how they want to do it. Sometimes that's a traditional youth club, but sometimes that's 6-week projects or bespoke initiatives or young people's action groups or youth cafes. And then we offer ongoing support to those adults and volunteers facilitating that. And we do that through peer-led learning, and we have 5 district youth work forums across the county where community youth work providers can come together regularly through a digital platform, share the issues, share the solutions, access professionals, talk about the pressing issues, and access training and workshops. Accessing emerging themes and relevant information in youth work. So obviously quite often it's us learning, in fact a lot of the time it's us learning from them, and then us going back to our internal teams and enabling support and mobilising sort of outreach to support those communities to respond to problems, be that county lines, be that youth mental health, antisocial behaviour. And support with funding. And this support enables communities further to meet the needs of their young people. It also enables them to tailor make information, advice and guidance to young people and effectively signpost them. Now, not everyone who volunteers will have that confidence overnight or know the diversity of services out there for young people, but they will know that there is a YCC and a team of professionals behind them, that the other side of an email, that can provide them with that information and advice to enable them to have an effective service and to support that young person. We know that young people much prefer a trusted adult within their own community than coming to one of our services. So it's really important that we empower and enable that. And in turn, it leads to impact and outcomes and a sustainable community-led youth offer. And for those people, we promise and guarantee access to training, volunteer development, access to free and low-cost resources through the community arc, and a comprehensive network where you can feedback, be heard and feel valued. We have a network email group and we have the 5 district forums. So anyone volunteering in their community instantly has several people that they can go to for that ongoing support, as well as our safeguarding hub, as well as specialists and professionals. We also offer a suite of training packages, which includes how to do detached youth work, safeguarding training, and the level 1 youth work qualification. We can also signpost and support anyone interested to access the level 2 and level 3 youth work qualifications, which we have within Cambridgeshire and have secured a national bursary to deliver at a much lower cost through a contract between the Department for Education and Romsey Mill. So there you can see, through the Community Reach Fund and everything else that we've been able to enable as a team and through our partners, young people in Cambridgeshire, through working with their communities, have somewhere to go and be safe, someone to talk to and trust, somewhere to grow, develop and have fun, and a community to belong to. We also very delighted to see through our National Citizen Service and through the outcomes of the pandemic, so many young people wanting to give back to their community and to be a part of their community. This is our newest little infograph. We find that a lot of people understand what we do, but find it hard to advocate it quickly and at pace. So these diagrams just help us to evidence and demonstrate what we do. Professional services, community-based services, us in the middle, providing that bridge for communication, connection and collaboration, leading to outcomes for communities, outcomes for professionals, and most importantly, outcomes for young people. And this sort of diagram most accurately, I think, reflects our new community youth work forums. If anyone's interested in seeing how they work, the Huntingdonshire Youth Work Forum have just developed their own Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, have a look at that and you'll see how these groups are networking together. It's very interesting. Kerry mentioned on one of her slides earlier, the Phoenix Youth Partnership. They were recently offered £2,000 via Facebook from a local private business that had seen what they were doing with young people, the impact they were making, and wanted to make a contribution. So exciting times for communities at the moment. Right. The second way in which we develop our community youth offer is through enabling youth voice, giving young people a say in every aspect of the services provided for them, supporting young people to play a part and be recognised within their communities through the Youth Voice and Youth Participation Strategy Partnership, which supports adults working with young people, and through the Youth Engagement Partnership. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to introduce to you my colleague Ella. And Ella is going to take us through some elements of her work and give us a practical example through what has been achieved and the outcomes through putting young people at the heart of everything we do. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you very much, Liz. I think I've successfully unmuted myself. So I'll move us along. Okay. So this diagram just kind of showcases our entire youth engagement offer across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. So as you can see at the top, it does state the Youth Engagement Partnership website and toolkit. The website is currently in development. We're not sure what kind of platform that we're going to use at the moment, but as soon as that is available, I will of course make sure that that is launched and sent out to all partners. And it also says toolkit. So I do hold many different toolkits to support participation and support professionals to facilitate participation. So obviously at the end you will see our contact details, but please do get in touch with me if there's anything that you would like support on. If we move to the dark blue column, so this is our social action, volunteering and consultation. So this is really our kind of open for all engagement opportunities for young people. So we are working on our Youth Voice Champions offer, and that's going to be like I said, an open for all, less participation needed if you compared it to, say, Youth Advisory Board, where there's weekly meetings, bi-monthly board meetings. This will be a really kind of drop in when you would like to, if you would like consultation opportunity, if you would like training sessions. You know, it's going to be a real, again, Youth Voice led on what young people are asking us for. We have our NCS service, which obviously, let me just click back to the presentation, so our NCS, obviously we tie that in with our Youth Voice offer due to volunteering opportunities and kind of tying them into what's going on in their community and where they can have a say following being part of that. We have Young Commissioners, so that is a training that I offer for young people to understand, obviously, the commissioning cycle, which I'm sure as professionals we all kind of get caught up in at some point anyway. So it helps people to understand that and then take that into their youth voice work. I run young recruiters training, so if anybody would like to run young people's recruitment panels, again, I can send you toolkits for that on the best way in which to run those, and then offer training to any young people that would like to participate. And young inspectors, which is a really exciting one, because they are young people that go out following an organisation, whoever that may be, having filled in a self-assessment and looking at where they are on kind of the ladder of participation at the moment and where they would like to be. Our young inspectors will then come out and inspect your service, compare that to your own assessment, and then let you know whether you have the Youth Voice Award for 12 months or not. Moving into our pink column, so our thematic focus groups. So these are obviously groups that are already in their own existence, and they are a group based upon a theme. So we have our Send Voice groups, we have our Children in Care Council, we have our Young Carers YAB run by Centre 33 and the young people there, and we are currently working with the Youth Justice Board and what their Youth Advisory Board may look like. Moving into the purple column, these are our democratic youth councils and district youth advisory boards. So our kind of overarching, which is the idea is that all of these previous columns and groups feed into these district boards. So obviously we have our Peterborough Youth Council, the Fenland and East Cambs YAB, which is up and running. We are working currently with Cambridge City to look what theirs would look like and what they would like from that. And we actually, in a couple of months' time, have our first Huntingdonshire YAB meeting, which myself and Steph are working on currently. So it kind of is, what is the point? Obviously, Youth Voice means that there are benefits for young people, professionals, service providers, communities and private business. So any of those that choose to engage in this. Outcomes can look like that young people feel valued and heard, that they have access to positive activity and accreditation. I'll talk a bit more about that shortly. Personal development and better access to services. Professionals and services, outcomes for those are improved understanding of the needs of young people. If you have an improved understanding, you are better able to meet young people's needs and you remove those barriers to any youth engagement that you have. And for all, we have improved youth participation, better outcomes and improved services for young people, and young people feel valued as contributing community members. So moving on. So what does that look like? So for myself, for my role, I'm involved in lots of participation projects. Obviously, we had the support of setting up the Fend and East Cambs Youth Advisory Board and now moving on to the other districts. I receive a lot of consultation requests from different organisations and partners. I help support them on what consultation should look like, how that should be run in terms of best practice, and also making sure that all young people have an opportunity to take part in that consultation and are rewarded and recognised for any contribution that they make. I also hold a contract which is kindly funded by the Opportunity Area for detached youth work currently. We've been working across Chatteris, Wisbech. February half term, we're looking at our East Cambs areas. And that's really to be on the ground to listen to what young people are saying about their communities, what they need, what they're missing, what they'd like to be involved in, and obviously be able to feed those into any of our existing Youth Voice offer if that was something they're interested in. Training opportunities. So I spoke about the fact we worked with Centre 33 to create the Young Carers YAB. Those young people have participated in our Young Recruiters training. We have funded a speaking workshop to enable them to, really work on their public speaking skills. And let me just switch back again. To work on their public speaking skills to enable them to really be heard. When we're looking at kind of in board meetings or when they're in meetings with professionals that they've maybe invited, we really want to set them up for success. And we also offer a ASDAN Accredited Youth Voice Award. So that means that all the work that any of the young people are doing through the boards, whether that's, however that looks, that they can actually receive accreditation for that. And a really nice success story recently was that then our young carers, a couple of those from their Young Carers YAB actually sat on the community panel to interview our chief execs. And actually it was great because it was the guy that they most wanted and rated the highest was the one who got the job. So they were really pleased to be part of that process and felt really listened to. What do I do to support the wider organisation and other organisations? We have been recently helping the info and comms team, and we're looking at things like vaccine hesitancy. Myself and Steph went out to see some young people in supported housing to look at vaccine. That was reported at one point that there may be quite high hesitancy rates in those settings. And actually it's really nice because that's led on to the other half of my role, which is social mobility coordinator, to look at actually what are the barriers for young people in supported housing. So it started off as kind of our listening to young people, what can we do to help them, support them, give them the best advice for vaccines. And actually it's now a continuation and project that we're carrying on to look at how best to support those young people when we're looking at employment and money and finances and, and really how the system works for them. Part of that vaccination work was a video that we created. So there was a Cambridge video and then there was a Peterborough video, which I will finish on shortly. So you can see just a really nice end project of what, if we involve young people from the start. It was a really co-produced project. They had input into the script of that video. They explained, what young people actually care about, where their care was in terms of the part they could play in the pandemic. So yeah, hopefully you find that really effective when you see that. Fingers crossed it works this time. Resources, so any support, I think I've kind of mentioned a couple of times, but whether that's in how to involve young people in commissioning, what that can look like, how to involve young people in the recruitment process, what kind of best participation practice looks like. I have toolkits and resources for all of that. So if you'd like any of that, please do let me know. We're currently working with the Youth Support Service. So we're looking at the youth justice system and their strategy, and also early help and how we can improve participation in both of those services. So, like I said, I'm going to, fingers crossed, move on to our Be Part of the Solution video, which was nominated for an award, and hopefully you can enjoy, and I will then leave you after that to go back to Liz. And can we all mute, guys, if we're not?
Since COVID-19 hit last year, things have been hard.
I haven't been able to see my friends.
I haven't been able to see my family.
Lockdowns, tears, whatever.
But I've been lucky so far.
No one I know has died from this thing.
But some of my mates haven't been so lucky.
They've lost grandparents.
Aunties,
Uncles,
family, friends.
And one of them lost his mum.
it was devastating.
I look around and I see a lot of my friends acting as if nothing is different.
Going out, going to parties, meeting up after school or college, and I get it.
But then I think about it.
I think about my friends. They've lost people they care for, people they loved. And I make a decision.
I make a decision every day to help keep my loved ones, my friends, my community safe.
I go online and I check what the current rules are.
I sanitize my hands, I wear my mask, and I keep my distance.
I can decide to do the right thing and protect people.
When this is over, and it will be over one day, the vaccine is rolling out and we're going to beat this thing. But it's going to take some time, and until then, I'm going to figure out how to stick to the rules and have the best time I can.
But when this is over, I want to be able to look back and say that I was part of the solution.
That I was part of the younger generation that helped.
So as every post I see and every advert I watch says,
Hands.
Face.
Space.
It's your choice.
This whole COVID thing isn't our fault, but we can still choose to be part of the problem or be part of the solution.
I know which one I'm choosing to be.
Thank you, Ella. Really lovely to see that. There's some members there of our Peterborough Youth Council, and they chose to take part with a professional company to make that film and to deliver the script. They really wanted it to come from local young people and to show the local environment. We've got a resource that has been developed at the moment within the city in partnership with the Community Safety Partnership around county lines. That's been done in a similar way. And we work with young people to produce the script alongside educational and behaviour psychologists. And a lot of young people from our March groups that Ella works with, they re-evaluated the project from the Cambridge City version, and the Peterborough one was nominated for a national award. We didn't win, but we were shortlisted out of a very big field. So proud of those young people, and young people engaged with that film so much better because they felt it was really reflective of them and their needs. So thank you for sharing that, Ella. Haven't seen that for a while, and I find it really impactful, so thank you. So that's the youth voice, which was the third element. And then finally, our third element, we deliver our youth offer across Cambridgeshire by enabling positive activity and informal education opportunities. And we do this through securing external funding to deliver youth programmes and make existing programmes accessible to young people who need them, prioritising our vulnerable and marginalised groups. So we have a contract for the National Citizen Service. Yes, sorry, I did that earlier as well. We're aware that our chat facility has gone missing. It's jumped somehow. We're trying to bring that back to you. The social mobility opportunity area, Ella's referenced that. And what I just wanted to take a moment, because the majority of audience members today are from local parish councils, to explain our community activities and resource centre, and we affectionately call that the ARC, run by our colleague Libby Morley. The Community Arc is an activities and resource centre offering resources to support clubs, voluntary organisations and community projects. We provide a range of arts and craft activities, equipment, games and fundraising resources that you can hire. Most of the activities cost about £2.50 to hire. Here you see an example of our steady hand. If you're setting up your own youth group and you don't have all the equipment, or you want to bring in a new activity every week, sand making, badge making, a lot of the equipment to get you set up and started with these activities is 50p a person or a couple of £100 to have the whole kit. So by us having the kits and you being able to rent it off us for £2.50 and then the cost of each young person, we're enabling you to have an exciting new activity every week without you having to sort of store it, pay for it and resource it. We have fundraising activities. They're really popular, especially with community fundraising groups and PTCAs. We have arts and crafts, team building games. We have a lot of giant games like Giant Jenga, Giant Connect 4, and we have a lot of electrical equipment, karaoke machines, not Sega Mega Drives. They're not cool anymore. There's something new and up to date, I'm sure. But yeah. I must get more up to date with my gaming knowledge. I've lost touch as a youth worker. And we also produce occasional packages, including our wedding packages. And this is sort of like our Robin Hood strategy. So if you're holding a wedding in your community for £50 to £100, you can order and borrow off us for a week all of our giant games. And in return, we can afford to buy more giant games and more activities that we can rent out to community groups for £2.50. The Arc has got its own website and you can see the full, it's also got a Facebook page and you can see the full list of activities that you can hire from there. But here's a little example. If you were having a village fete, here's your complete kit for hook a duck. Here's your ring a frog. And your hoopla, I think that's called. And all of our resources can be hired for a week or longer. They can be ordered in advance. You can order a term's worth of activities in advance. There is a standard hire charge on all arts and crafts activities, and then you pay the per person cost for the elements. So if you were doing leather bookmaking, you might pay £2.50 for the resource, to hire the resource, and then £1 per leather bookmark. Here is our candy floss machine. This is our secret weapon in fundraising for all of our community groups. We have 3 of these. I think these have been donated over the years or fundraised for, and they're worth about £600 each. But we will hire this to you for £25. You then need to purchase the sticks and the flossine, and you can see that very quickly you can make a profit. You know, if you're going to have a Fenedge Family Festival this year, again, long longed for after the missed one during the pandemic, and you're going to sell 1,000 candy flosses, you know, the Rainbows are going to have a stall and they're going to sell 1,000 candy flosses over the long weekend, you can see that you can very quickly make money for your community organisation. Also, if you want to set up activities for young people to participate in, you know, this is great community engagement. You have families and their children and young people participating in sand making, something that they can take away. And whilst they're there, you can be talking to them, asking them what they would like to see more of, what they would like to do. And there's a little example there of costings. And that brings us to the end of our presentation today. So we started a little bit late to allow more people to join. We've got 2 minutes left. If anybody would like to get in touch, please do so. You can use the youth and communities at cambridgeshire.gov.uk, and Nikki West, our business support officer, will signpost you to the most relevant member of the team, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you'd like to talk to your youth and community coordinator, you can get the details through the youth and communities email, or you can email them directly. If anyone would like to ask any questions in the chat now, I think we've located that it's moved over here. Let me just see. There haven't been any additional questions, but if anybody has any, please do pop it in there now. And we'll just take you to our Ella. Could you just facilitate our quick little survey? We just have 2 questions that we'd like you to answer at the touch of a button, if you wouldn't mind, to help us to evaluate today. And those 2 questions are: do you feel you better understand the work of the Youth and Communities team after today's workshop? And you can vote on that. And are you likely to now make contact with your local youth and community coordinator? Please appreciate that there is no such thing as a stupid question, a stupid idea. We know that people come to volunteering because they're passionate about something. You'll have seen through Kerry and Steph's examples the diversity of projects that we support and work alongside. So we always welcome a conversation, be that us coming to you with a deck chair to sit under a tree because of COVID regulations, be it a Teams meeting, a Zoom, an email, a telephone conversation. If you want to meet at 9 in the morning or 7 in the evening, you know, that's our role, to be accessible to youth and communities and to help you address the issues that are important to you. I feel incredibly blessed to be managing a team that have such a wealth of skill, knowledge and years of professional youth work experience and informal education work behind them. So if we can help you in any way, please do get in touch today. Thank you so much for participating in that poll. I'm just going to check this. There, it's reappeared.
Yeah, Steph's just replying to my.
Steph, let's just move us across. And Steph, you can respond to Michael directly. There we are. It's in the chat. We do have youth radio stations, and we do have big community radio providers. There's quite a significant community radio in East Cambs through Ely. So we have practice to share, and we have the ability to put you in touch, Michael, with those that already run such provision, if you or anyone you know is interested in setting it up. And of course, all of those groups have accessed the Community Reach Fund and our community youth offer. So Steph would be your direct link. And obviously there's the Hunts Community Youth Workers Forum there as well. So you'd be welcome to drop into that and discuss that idea with people there. I hope that answers your question. Right, so that takes us to the end of our session. Brilliant. And Kerry, yes, Youth Radio in Whittlesea. So if you wanted some peer support there or to explore it with someone else, we could put you in touch. I can just see that Ashley's typing, so I'm just going to read what he says and then we'll bring the session to a close. Thank you so much for attending the conference today. The booths in the main hall are still open. Thank you to my colleagues for supporting me today and for advocating our service. We're very proud of the work we do, but more importantly, we're just very sort of blown away and in awe of the work that communities are doing, especially since the pandemic and in spite of the pandemic, to meet the needs. And we really thank you, Ash. And we really welcome further conversations to see what 2022 can bring for us all. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. A warm goodbye from us. Enjoy your weekend and stay safe. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.